What's up everyone? So today in this video we're going to talk about instinctive eating. What is instinctive eating, you might be asking? It is eating instinctively. So this is where you are not tracking your macros. You're not counting calories, you're not counting grams of protein, carbs, fats, alcohol, any of that. You're just eating more or less ad libitum, which is Latin language for at will. It's basically eating whatever you want. Keep in mind, this is just my personal experience. This is not telling you not to track macros. This is not saying tracking macros is bad. This is just what I do. So I counted calories for many years. So for about 3 years, I wrote all my carbs, fats, proteins, even alcohol in a little journal, and then I calculated my total calories. I wasn't eating very strictly. There wasn't like a specific number that I was trying to hit, but if I ate it, if it went into my pie hole, regardless of whether it was pie or not, it got tracked. So even if I went to a restaurant and I wasn't sure, I tried to estimate my calories as best I could. And for about 3 years, I tracked everything. Every single day, I tracked. Until one day, I lost my notebook. So I was going traveling, and I had my little food log, and I brought it with me, which is, in hindsight, a little bit obsessive, but it just felt completely normal at the time. And I guess I had left it on the plane. Maybe I put it in the front flap, in front of the seat, in the seat in front of me, and I forgot it. And so I left it on the plane, and I couldn't get it back. And so for the next few weeks, honestly, I felt really bad because I would eat something and I wanted to write it down. I felt like whenever I ate something, I needed to track it. I needed to have it in a journal somewhere, or else I just felt very anxious and very uncomfortable. But I didn't start a new log. I think maybe deep down inside, I knew that I wasn't really getting any more value from tracking my macros. And over the next few months, this sense of anxiety or anxiousness, it slowly went away, and it was replaced with a sense of freedom where I could just eat what I wanted. I didn't have to worry like how many grams of this or grams of that, or the portion size, or always going to a restaurant and trying to estimate what I was eating and then often being off. And I actually found that this actually helped my physique. This actually helped my performance in the gym because I wasn't always constantly worrying about what I was eating. So next I'll talk about who is probably not really suitable for instinctive eating. If you think about it, a diet is just a set of rules. That's all. Whether it's keto, whether it's veganism, whether it's intermittent fasting, whether it is if it fits your macros, whether it's calories, whether it's Jenny Craig, anything. Any diet is just a set of rules. So, if you are very fat, eating instinctively is probably not going to work because you're probably already eating instinctively and it's clearly not getting you the results that you want. So, this is why people diet. They need a set of rules to constrict them into restraining their calories. And that is the premise of every single diet. Every single diet. It's not going to work unless you reduce your calories, and that is the only means, the only mechanism through which any diet works. Every single one. So if you consistently overeat, eating instinctively is not really going to be effective. Similarly, if you consistently undereat, it is also probably not going to be suitable. So if you're like a 40-kilo guy and you're 8% body fat and you want to gain muscles, eating instinctively might not really be suitable because you might have a very fast metabolism, a very low appetite, and you really need a set of rules to bring your calories up. Okay? So a diet, again, it's just a set of rules, and if the rules are not working for you, you might not be able to eat instinctively. Also, if you are prone to making bad choices and you're not really getting towards your goals, you probably will not be able to eat instinctively. So if you are prone to binges or like ordering a lot of food or just eating unhealthily in general, it's probably not going to be suitable for you. On the other hand, Often what I see is people who binge are restricting a lot beforehand. So they might restrict for like a week or 2 weeks or maybe even 3 weeks, and they're restricting too much, they're dieting too hard, they're not really eating instinctively enough, and then they binge. So if you're one of those kind of people, adding a little bit of instinctive eating might actually be beneficial because you are not being as restrictive and you can eat a little bit more freely. I would recommend the vast majority of people should count calories at least once in their life. So pick, 6 months, a year, 3 months, somewhere in that time range, and just very strictly count calories. This has a number of benefits. The main one is going to be that you learn to compare foods, and you're actually thinking about what is in food. Most people, they have no idea. If you've never counted calories, you're going to be absolutely horrible at estimating calories, carbs, fats, protein, anything. And the main way you're going to select your food choices is going to be what you enjoy, what you like to eat, what tastes good, what you just feel you need to eat in that moment. And generally speaking, that is not going to be a good path towards your goals. However, once you count calories for a few months, you slowly begin to learn and you temper your instinct, you temper your decisions with the calories, with the macronutrients. And you begin to learn not just what your body wants, but what your body needs in terms of the energy that you are giving it. And that is going to be the main benefit of counting calories. And once you've done it for a few years or a few months, I'd say at least half a year is a good idea, you can then go on to eat instinctively. But for most people, if they just eat instinctively, it's not going to end up well. Why? Because the modern environment is way, way too easy for most people. You can order delivery and boom, 20 or 30 minutes, it's arrived. We don't have to hunt for food. We don't even have to go anywhere to get food. We just dial a few numbers, talk to some dude we don't know, and then in a few minutes, some tasty, delicious food shows up. And so for most people, I would say the majority, they won't be able to eat instinctively right away. You need to temper that instinct with something a little bit more. Now, there could be some ways to eat instinctively without counting calories. I would say doing something like intermittent fasting can be a good way. This is going to naturally restrict your calories somewhat because you are eating in a smaller window. It also sort of kickstarts fat burning because you are not having carbs earlier in the day during that non-eating period. You can also try fasting for longer periods of time. That can work. You can also try prioritizing protein, prioritizing fiber. If you're not getting in 25 to 30 grams per meal, you're better off just not eating, okay? Because you're not actually going to really be stimulating any kind of muscular gains, which is, at least from my perspective, the only reason to eat. Another good strategy is to give yourself a body weight window. So assuming you're not trying to actively lose fat or lose weight, you can give yourself a window to float around it. So for me right now, that is like 93 to 95 kilos. So as long as I'm in that range, I'll basically eat whatever I want. But if I find myself going under 93, I'll actively try to eat more. If I'm going over 95, I will cut back a little bit. And this is a good way to recomp when you're in that range. I would say for most people, eating instinctively should be the end goal. You should be able to maintain a pretty damn good physique without tracking macros. Not everyone will be able to do this, but I think this should, generally speaking, be the eventual goal. If you've been counting calories for like 10 years and you're kind of sick of it, consider trying to wean yourself off of it because it might not be helpful in the long term. Use it for a few months, use it for a few years, use it to build better habits and get you to think about what you're actually consuming, but don't use it for the rest of your life. So let me know if you count calories or you eat instinctively. How do you eat? Do you have any diet rules that you live by? That's all for today. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you next time. Peace.